Hi there, and welcome to Limitlyss with your host, Alyssa Simpson. That's me! I am a mindset and manifestation coach, but you can just call me your personal giggling goddess of manifestation. I use my woo-adjacent approach to turn women into the poster children for lucky girl syndrome. And since you've tuned in today, I have a feeling you're ready to become a poster child real soon too. So now that you're here, it's time to sit back, relax, and learn how to become limitless. If you haven't heard, I am starting a movement. And if you're someone who is craving a community of magnetic besties, daily and weekly mindset trainings, monthly live hot seat coaching sessions with yours truly, the ability to bring your vision board to life, a mind that makes you abundant as fuck, options to see personalized success, because y'all know that I do not do cookie cutter around here, then I want to personally welcome you to the promised land because, my friend, you have made it. Inside of the magnetic membership, you can expect to finally be part of a community that sets you up for abundance, success, and magnetism. I'm talking about thinking of your vision board and then snapping your fingers and having it come to you in the most effective and efficient way. You know that there are people in your life who just seem to attract all of the opportunities, all of the money, all of the success, and you've been putting in the work with little to nothing to show for it. As someone who's been there, like I've told y'all before, I know how frustrating it is to see success in literally every corner but your own. But I won't let you allow that to be your normal anymore. The women in my world become magnetic as fuck. And when I say magnetic as fuck, I'm talking about winning $400 on a Super Bowl bet that they didn't even place. Or getting approved for a 0% loan to consolidate $20,000 worth of credit card debt. Or signing their biggest client yet in the 5-figure mark. These are the kinds of things that are possible for you too if you just allow your mind and your body and your energy to start being in total alignment with where you actually want to go. And these type of results don't just happen by chance. It happens because when you choose to put yourself in the proximity of someone who holds the right amount of space for you, me, there is no other option but for this to happen. And even better, if I'm being brutally honest, I've created this movement so that you can finally have a place to call home. So you can finally have a place where you feel allowed to come back home to yourself. And this is just the perfect amount of work that you can do on and with and for yourself without letting you feel that burnt out feeling from a self-help hangover, all while you have me by your side. The movement that I have a mission towards creating is going to be one where we allow each other and the women in our world to break up with feeling anxious, sad, depressed, broke, no self-worth, no type of confidence, because when you are in total alignment, which is what you're going to be able to do inside of this membership, is to get back into alignment in order to become magnetic as fuck. You start to see the changes that you have been dreaming of. I'm talking about unexpected money flowing to you, waking up and feeling lit up about the work that it is you do, falling in love with yourself again, and being able to truly step into your authentic self without people-pleasing, comparing, or waiting on someone else's approval. And you can join this membership today. Doors are open. So please come join us. There is plenty of room at this table for you, and I can't wait to see you on the inside. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Limitlyss. I hope that your week has been the most magnetic and abundant week you've had yet. And if not, well, I'm glad you're here because we are going to get into more of the metaphysical side of things here today. As someone who has studied the metaphysical world for the past 16 years, 17 years, I know how overwhelming it can be when you're trying to tap into something that feels so out there, that feels so just, the way that people talk about it too is like it's this like medieval abstract type thing, which, yeah, sure, if you want to view it through that lens, then it is. And medieval is not the right word. I don't know why I said medieval, maybe because medieval sounds like a cool thing. But truly and honestly, like the metaphysical world is within each and every single one of us. We have just been taught by society to beat it out of us that we can't have a really wealthy society if everybody is tapped into the metaphysical side of things. And I grew up always thinking that it was just common knowledge, that people just knew about this, that I was late to the game, that I was the one who was like, I have no idea what this is, but I'm so excited to find out and be a part of everybody else who knows exactly what this is. And that's not true. And I came to learn this, and which is one of the reasons why I started my business and became a manifestation coach, is because the percentage of people who do understand the metaphysical world is very small. Okay? And the knowledge and education around the metaphysical world, sometimes it can be taught in a way that feels very elite and non-inclusive, because the words that are used, the understandings of it. And I actually shared a video on TikTok a month ago, and someone commented on it and they said, this is great knowledge, but I don't think that people can not everyone can understand exactly what it is that you're saying. And I replied to this video and I said, regardless if people can understand it, like if they see this video, they find this message, it's meant to find them to either spark curiosity or to maybe hear it in a way they haven't ever heard it before, to where it does make sense. But whenever that comment was left on that video, I was like, you know what? Like, you're right. Even though I try to talk in the most like basic of basic terms to where it can make sense for truly anyone, I know that not everyone is meant to hear exactly what it is that I'm supposed to be saying. And that's okay. That just goes back to what I have been talking to y'all about since the beginning of time, right? Is we're not meant for everyone. That's totally fine. But if I can say something, anything, specifically about the metaphysical world that makes your wheels turn in a way that jumpstarts whatever transformation is on the other side of this for you, my job here is done. Because for me, if I go back to my very original, when this all started for me, it all started with one book, right? There was a book that I read that I was like, oh my gosh, this is like changing my entire life. Then it became a YouTube video that I saw, that I watched, that I heard someone talk, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is changing my entire life. And it just snowballs into exactly what it needs to be. And sometimes I have heard the exact same message hundreds of times, and it's the 101 time that I hear it where it actually sticks. And so with that being said, maybe you have learned all the things in the metaphysical world, but you haven't learned them from me. You haven't heard these words come out of my mouth. You haven't heard my explanation on things. So I'm glad you're here. This is going to be a really good conversation. And the goal for me is for you to walk away from this conversation and go, holy shit, I've been overcomplicating it. Or I thought it was this huge pie in the sky thing that I could never create in my lifetime. And with Alyssa's help, I'm able to do it. That's the goal. So, metaphysical world. The metaphysical world, we're going to talk about this in scientific terms. And again, that's not my strong suit. But when I can break it down in a scientific realm, it makes sense. Okay, so if someone came from another country and we on the off chance spoke the same language and they're like, explain to me what metaphysical world is, I would start by talking about the science of it. Because we are all energy, Everything that exists in this universe is energy. You are made up of the exact same energy and atoms that this microphone is made of, that the stars are made of, that grass is made of, that the air is made of. Like, we are all the same thing. So that means that everything that is in existence, we are all a part of one another. And you guys know I've talked about quite a few times how we are all like a collective consciousness. Well, that includes everything. So in the metaphysical world, we are all one. We are all connected. And the universal law, the law of one, divine oneness, also states this, that we are all connected. We are all one. That is the basis of what the metaphysical world is. Okay, and it's taught in multiple different ways. I believe in Buddhism, it's taught that like humans are no better than an ant, and a volcano is no better than humans. Like, essentially, we're on the same playing field, and I'm doing a horrible job of explaining this. I haven't studied Buddhism like a whole lot, and I haven't really studied religion as a whole, like different parts of it a whole lot. So my understanding of each one is very basic, not detailed at all. Now, we are all one, okay? So in the metaphysical world, if we are talking about things like universal intelligence meaning God, angels, the universe, source, whatever resonates most with you, we all know that we come from a higher level of consciousness. Universal intelligence is what I'm going to call it here. And because we all can come from that, that means we are all that, you know? Because we all come from it, that means we are it. We are all connected to that universal intelligence. And this is what I'm talking about whenever specifically we're talking about like intuition. Your intuition comes from universal intelligence. And your intuition is not some booming voice that you hear while you're taking a shower or having very clear dreams and like someone coming down and speaking to you directly about like the next steps in life. It's literally just, I have a feeling that I should call my best friend who I haven't talked to in 20 years, and you call her and you save your life by calling her. Or I have a feeling that instead of taking this way home, I should take this way home. And by taking the way home that you hardly ever take, you avoided a major car accident or something. That is what intuition is as a piece of universal intelligence, right? Like, it's not this direct line of communication for everyone. For some people it is. Like, some people do have that gift of being totally tapped into that level. But the basis level of it is just those like straight up nudges that you get, those downloads that you get, those feelings that you have around where it is you should be going and doing and all of that, okay? Because of universal intelligence, we are so much more than just this meat suit that we're living in. And when I first started to learn this, I had a really hard time with it because so much of my personal identity was in my physical appearance and my personality and my feelings and my thoughts. And the truth is, my feelings and my thoughts and my physical body, they're just here for this lifetime. Because the truth is, I have infinite wisdom because I also come from universal intelligence. But as a human on planet Earth, I'm not meant to express fully my infinite intelligence here because it's not necessarily needed in this lifetime, and B, I came to Earth just as you did too, to live a human experience. And the human experience is not enlightenment, right? Like, even though a lot of people chase enlightenment while they're here on Earth, that doesn't necessarily mean that they ever achieve it. And no one who has been a human on Earth has achieved enlightenment. Not Buddha, not Jesus Christ, not any of the other prophets who have come in our lifetime, our previous lifetimes, whatever. Like, you can't achieve enlightenment on Earth because you're in human form. It's just point, period, blank. It is what it is. So, What I talk a lot about is being able to live abundantly and becoming a master manifester and truly living an authentic life. And these are the things that I specifically specialize in, but I specialize in these things because it's all part of the metaphysical world, you know? And the metaphysical world to me is like a kaleidoscope. You know, those things you look through and there's all those beads in it and you turn it and like you're never going to get the same shape more than once. Like it's always a unique experience. Every time you look through a kaleidoscope, that is how I view the metaphysical world. And for each different turn of the kaleidoscope is a different unique experience. It's a unique belief. It's a unique way of explaining things and teaching things. And for me, living abundantly, living authentically, and being magnetic, those are the things to me that I am well versed in to not only teach, but to talk about until I literally run out of air in my lungs, right? So that's just like the most basic of basic ways I can explain the metaphysical world that isn't very astral, or what did I say earlier? Medieval. You know what I mean? It's just very basic. Now, I'm going to give you a basic example because this was also asked to me recently on multiple occasions, so I feel like it needs to be brought here, is what is abundance and how do I achieve abundance if I don't feel that abundance is even in existence for me, right? This is a very simple answer, but that doesn't mean that the process of living an abundant life is simple because of the human experience, because we have limiting beliefs and programming and all of these things that we are meant to experience here on planet Earth that kind of muddy the water a little bit whenever we're talking about living in abundance. That doesn't mean that it's not possible. There is literally not a single person on this planet who cannot tap into abundance and live an abundant magnetic life. Period. But because of free will, you are allowed to choose if you live abundantly and magnetically. And if you're hearing that and you're like, but Alyssa, if that was true, like why wouldn't everyone choose to live in abundance and magnetic and all of those things? Because of the human experience, because we are not at our full capacity here as infinite wisdom beings that we truly are. We are clouded with society and programming and what has really been built around us as man-made laws. People choose to follow man-made laws and conditioning more than they do universal ones because that's what we're taught. So that is why we live in a world where there are people who are never going to live in abundance because that's just not in their awareness. Maybe they don't even maybe they've never heard of abundance and they just think that their world is the size of an oyster and whatever they can see in that oyster is all their possibilities are. Like, I can't speak for everyone, right? I just know that to answer the question of, well, then why isn't everyone? That is why everyone isn't. And also, when we come to Earth, when we sign our soul's contract and we're like, yes, we are going to come to Earth to have a human experience, that also means that whatever, like we know what we're signing up for when we agree to the terms and conditions of the contract. Okay? I agreed to going through all of the shit that I've gone through before I came here. I agreed to it. Just like I talked about a few episodes ago about my mom's death and how like her suicide has really nothing to do with me because that was her journey, that she agreed to those terms and conditions and she agreed to that outcome, and that's her. Like, that was her decision. That was her agreement when she came to planet Earth for that lifetime, and it is what it is, right? And if you're sitting here thinking like, well, why would anyone agree to living in poverty and living in a war zone area? And I don't know, I can't speak for those people, but what I do know is that everything that we choose in this lifetime is because we're supposed to learn something from it. Again, to reach enlightenment. When we pass on from this lifetime and go to the next, we will have more wisdom in us. Have you ever met people? I was actually one of these people. Always growing up, people would always tell my parents, like, wow, she really has such an old soul, and she really does have just like this being about her that is so much like mature beyond her years. And because my soul is old, y'all. Like, this is not my first fucking rodeo here on earth. And if you've ever met someone and you're like, you are wise beyond your years, the same probably goes for them too. You know, on Friends, whenever Joey asked Phoebe, like, oh, that's so cool that you remember all your lifetimes. How many have I lived? And she goes, oh, baby, you're brand new here. Like, there are also people that I think are probably brand new here. But yeah, I always like to think of that whenever I think of just like our soul's journey, you know, like some are super old and some aren't. And you get to pick how it is when you're here. And that's also why whenever you meet someone and you're like, oh my God, I feel like I've known you my whole life and I just met you, because you guys have spent time together during another lifetime at some point. Okay. Capiche. Anyways, when we're talking about tapping into abundance, when you feel like there is absolutely none available to you and that it's just non-existent, abundance is a feeling. Abundance is an energy. And because we know what feelings are, and now we have an understanding of what energy is, we know that we can tap into abundance just like we can tap into feeling happy, just like we can tap into feeling sad, just like we can tap into feeling freedom or burnout or whatever the fuck. When you can identify what abundance truly means to you, and I'm not going to tell you what abundance means because it means something different for everyone. The general concept of it, though, is overflow, like living in overflow. So however overflow feels to you, maybe that feels like you are riding a roller coaster and you get that feeling in your stomach when you go down the big drop, or maybe it's the feeling of butterflies for kissing your crush for the first time, or whatever the fuck, whatever that feeling is, you can tap into that feeling. Because the one thing that we do have control over as humans here on earth is how we feel. We get to control how we feel. So you can tap into that feeling. Now, when you tap into that feeling of whatever abundance is for you, then you are able to make it a current reality for right now. And when it's a current reality for right now, you're able to attract more of it to you. So for example, let's say happy. Happy is the feeling that you associate abundance with. You can tap into being happy. And anytime you don't feel so happy, you know how to do things that make you happy. You know how to spark some joy and happiness in your life. So you can tap into that, right? So when you can tap into the feeling of abundance, whatever that feeling is for you, then you're able to become an energetic match. Because have you ever noticed on days whenever you feel so good, when you wake up feeling fucking incredible, that incredible things happen, that your day just goes so smooth, and at the end of the day, you're like, oh my God, I wish every day was like this. It was so great. Because when you have that feeling, because of the law of attraction, you keep attracting that same feeling. And the same thing goes for if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you're pissed off as soon as your feet hit the floor and you're angry all fucking day and you feel like every single thing that could go wrong will go wrong. It's because you're attracting it. So by tapping into abundance, you're able to attract that feeling, which therefore attracts more of that feeling to you, aka abundance. And that is how you start the cycle of living in abundance, whatever abundance means for you, okay? If you are sitting here thinking, like, oh my God, that sounds so great, I'm totally going to give this a try. You give it a try, you don't see results super right away. Do not let that be an excuse as to you stopping the process. This is why I have such a solid morning routine and such a solid night routine, because those two things set me up to live in abundance at all times by making sure that I have a very good and clean morning routine and night routine. And on days when those two things do not happen for me, things don't go the most beautiful magnetic ways for me. Now, that's not to say that human experience happens and things happen in our day-to-day that really are out of our control, but they're also here to serve a purpose too. So if I have a day where, let's say I do my morning routine the night before I did my night routine, so technically I'm set up for success to have a really abundant day, and I get hit with an unexpected bill, or I get hit with some type of emergency that needs my attention like immediately or whatever, that doesn't mean that I'm no longer living in abundance. It's just meaning like, hey, excuse me, we have an opportunity here to apply everything that it is that I've been learning and growing through, and because of how abundant I have made my life, this isn't going to derail me. This is literally just a rock on a really clean, smooth, sandy path that if I step on, shit, it hurts, but I can move that rock off of my path, and my path is still clear, smooth, clean, and sandy. Does that make sense? So, this is how we tap into abundance this week. This is how we have a better understanding of the metaphysical world. And this is how we start to actually see ourselves become more and more magnetic. So I can't wait to see what kind of beautiful things that you create through this process, because I'm telling you right now, you're going to see some magic happen and you're going to be like, holy shit, it's this easy. I will be cheering you on from the sidelines. You know where to find me if you have any questions, and I'll see you next week. Bye! Thank you for tuning in today. Your support is so appreciated, and I would love to hear your feedback on this episode. Make sure to leave a review, and when you screenshot this and share it with your friends, that you're tagging me on Instagram at _Alyssa Simpson X. I'll see you next week. Bye!